Hello and welcome to World Talks. My name is Jakub Kapiszewski and we're recording at Sopot, a beautiful city on a Polish Baltic Sea coast, where European Financial Congress, a conference that gathers top financial people from Poland, takes place. And AI in banking, and specifically AI in banking cybersecurity, is a major focus of the conference this year. And on that topic, I have a very special guest in our studio, Marcin Zygmanowski, Deputy CEO and Chief Technical Officer at Pekao S, second biggest Polish bank. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Thank you for accepting our invitation. I would very quickly like to jump into our conversation. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you had a meeting at Pekao S about Mythos, an AI model that a big American company researching the stuff called Anthropic made waves about?
Well, obviously we did. It is a highlight that you would find everywhere in the press, so everyone is talking about it. But I think when you look at Mythos and what they are doing right now, and it's not easily accessible, it is of course
well, it is not accessible. No European company have been given a sneak preview.
Yeah, we will be testing it ourselves with a kind of sneak preview in the coming weeks. We have already a plan how to do that. However,
excuse me, you're going to test Mythos?
No, we're going to test our code against Mythos. A part of our code. So this is the idea, to see how well it will perform and what we believe is secure already. Okay. So it's going to be it's going to be a test. It's not the full site. It's not all of the code, etc. It's going to be a test. And so we're doing something in that area. But I think what is more interesting when you think about Mythos and how it works.
But you're going to let Mythos dig into your code.
Yes.
Like Mythos itself.
Yes.
Have you been given access?
Through a third party.
A third party. Okay.
Okay.
A party that cannot be named, as I understand.
Not at this moment.
Okay.
Not at this moment. So this is fairly new. So and again, it's going to be more of a test, of a proof of concept, rather than just verifying that the whole site is secure or not. This is not what we were trying to achieve. We're trying to baseline how well it performs against our own security measures. But I think what is really interesting when you think about Mythos is the change in the way you need to approach cybersecurity.
Okay.
Because in the good old days, when you had issues, vulnerabilities, you would have a month maybe to patch them. Nowadays, you think you have days, maybe a week, but reality is you have just hours, because it will go for the 0-day issues out there, and suddenly you can be exposed. So eventually, when you think about that, there is no way that you can be 100% secure. Instead, you have to rethink your own security strategy to look at resilience. What does that mean, really? It means that you have to look at your own architecture and look at the worst case scenarios. So an attacker will get through. How much damage can the attacker make? Have we segmented our architecture such that we contain the attacker in a specific area without spreading throughout the organization? So that's one thing. The second thing is, okay, if it really happens, how will we restore our services? So where will be the current backup? How will we process that? Where to start? We have to have an operational procedure for a kind of disaster that we have not really planned for before. So it is a change of mind, and it also means that we have to change the way we invest in security. Of course, patching and fixing that and automating the process of patching is very important, but at the same time we need to invest in resilience, in rethinking the architecture and being prepared. Because essentially it will happen sooner or later. And at the same time, I think Poland is in a relatively good shape, at least I would say the public sector, the banking sector, the energy sector, because we're under constant attack. We have had the worst attacks in basically throughout I would say, history in the last couple of years because of the war in Ukraine.
So
of
what you're
course.
trying to say is Poland had to beef up its cyber defenses
yes,
because of what's going on.
Of
in
course,
the East.
and you know, and I can say in our case, we even DDoS attacks were not really successful. If there was an unavailability, it was 1-2 minutes, and we were able to recover because of the defense lines that we have put up. Of course, this also means that from an organizational standpoint, security is expensive. It means you have to convince people from the business side to allow enough investments, to allow enough time to build up that security, and it is as important as growing business revenue.
Luis de Guindos, the former vice president of European Central Bank, I say former because his tenure ended yesterday, actually.
Okay.
Once this Mythos thing broke out, he was very adamant that banks need to do everything, anything that's possible to secure themselves against the potential threat of Mythos or Mythos-like AI agents that are going to be developed in the future. And he said that it's not only for big banks, it's also for small banks.
It is also for small banks, obviously. I think big banks have an advantage because they have enough structure, they have enough people, and they have enough capital to invest in that. And I fully agree, we need to invest more in security in a wise way, because at the same time, you can close up the bank that nobody has access, but that's not the point. You still want to service the customers, you want to delight the customer. So it is always a balance between full security and availability to our customers.
Mm-hmm. 1 week ago, there was a meeting convened by European Central Bank with representatives from Eurozone banks. It was specifically concerned about Mythos, and Luis de Guindos was chairing it. Has your bank been in contact with other banks in the Eurozone which got a sneak preview, although they weren't able to get their hands on Mythos, they got a sneak preview at this meeting?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. This stress test, I think we can say it's going to be a stress test.
It's not a big, a stress test I would consider stress test something that goes against the whole organization. Okay. This is more of a proof of concept.
Proof of concept.
Very, let's say, narrow in terms of what we are giving access to, because we also don't want to give access to all of our code, obviously. So, but it will help us to understand how well it actually performs and how well our own security strategy performs. Yes?
Okay. What if it performs brilliantly? Because banking is actually pretty conservative quotation marks when it comes to IT, because you guys have a lot of legacy systems.
True.
And it's new stuff built over old stuff, and it's much more difficult for a human operator to dig into the old stuff because he or she would need to learn some old programming language. But Mythos or a Mythos-like agent can do it in hours, right?
I would put it differently, actually, because at the end, most banks, in terms of architecture, are built up on layers. So there is a layer which allows you for customer access, which is really connected to the web. Then there is a layer and several intermediate layers which are not connected to the web, and there are the legacy core systems in many cases. These legacy core systems are very well shielded. Okay. So, and this is why I'm talking about resilience and limiting the harm you can make. The idea is to limit an attacker to the front-end systems which have direct connection to the internet, okay, and contain them there without moving forward. And if you look at some of the cases where we had, ransomware attacks, which, closed down whole factories, etc., in terms of their architecture, they didn't have enough segmentation and enough security, so an attacker could go throughout the whole organization. So it also is about changing the way you think about things like access privileges, minimum trust or zero trust in that sense, so you have access only to the data that you need for the time that you need. if it of course requires a number of changes, because usually you build such architectures in a way where you give very broad permissions to access the data because it's just easier.
Okay.
So right now, for example, we are doing a project about identity and access management to ensure that really we know who has access when to what kind of data. That's one thing. The other thing is about constructing and building intelligent DMZs, demilitarized zones, where you cannot access the next layer. And of course, avoiding certain pitfalls that could happen. One of them is ensuring that, for example, your backups are created in a very secure vault using, let's say, it's called like a golden copy technology, which would not allow any attacker to compromise the backup, to insert stuff, or even to encrypt the data. Because if you don't have a backup at the end,
okay,
you don't know where to start, right? So it is. It's not a. The whole Mythos thing is accelerating something that, in my opinion, many banks were already doing, because essentially we are companies of customer trust, and trust is the highest value that we carry around. So in this context, we already had to think for the past years how to defend ourselves. Right now we need to speed up, and I think we need to rethink the way we approach the topic.
Let's just get back to this proof of concept very quickly. What if it performs beyond expectations, like really, really well? How is it going to influence your...
In the sense that it finds a number of holes, right?
Yes.
That's what you're asking for. Well, it means we have to revise a number of things, right? Mm-hmm. One of the principles that we have in the bank is security by design, which means when we develop new architectures, new software, we build in security up front. So it's not a test at the end, is it secure or not? It's about having the right principles and the right ways of working at the beginning of the software creation process and embedding these principles in the whole process. Inside, I would expect that we may need to update some of these because maybe we missed something, didn't think about that. And nowadays, if you think how software is being created, we of course have agents that can create software, which is also creating some risk in terms of some of the code that is written there. But there is also an aspect related to open source. Everyone is using open source libraries, and ensuring that these are secure, well maintained, etc., is another topic, which in some organizations, and I know that from my past experience, has not been managed properly. So here in my role, I had the opportunity to basically look at the stuff up front and say, guys, we need to take care of this, these and these things as well, yeah?
Okay, Marcin Zygmanowski, Deputy CEO and CTO of Pekao S, the second biggest bank in Poland. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to hearing about your feedback from this proof of concept test, but that's stuff for the future. And this was World Talks, straight from Sopot. Stay tuned for more of TVP World's coverage of European Financial Congress. My name is Jakub Kapiszewski. Goodbye.